good morning. It's one more day with the book, but today we have a guest. Yay!
Good
Bienvenue,
morning.
Denise. Yes, good morning. So, Denise, tell us where you are in the world because we have people from all over the world that watch. So, bring us on the map.
I am in Cocagne, New Brunswick, just outside of Moncton or outside of Shediac, right on the ocean. Beautiful spot. So I'm in Cocagne, New Brunswick,
And we are in Canada.
in Canada. Yes.
Yeah. So it's beautiful over there.
Yeah.
And you should see, like, if you get a chance to check Denise's Facebook, like every morning she has a picture of her sunrise or sunset, but each time it's like, oh, it's so
Yes,
beautiful.
it's mostly sunrise. I don't really see the sunset from where I'm at, so I get up every morning just to see the sunrise because it's my moment, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. So thank you for being here. And the reason why I love having conversation with the woman who read the book is because you what I'm realizing is that the book or the stories in the books resonates differently with different people. So I'm inviting any of you who read the book, whether you're in the Facebook group or maybe I don't even know you yet because I'm starting to meet people I've never heard of. So that's so cool. And you want to share your how you see the book, like someone saw the book as something, as a feminist message, and I for me it didn't even hit me yet. Like, so now I'm asking everybody, like, when you've read the book, Denise, and I know feminist can mean many things to many people in history and currently, like, is there a feminist flavor in the book based on your experience of the book?
See, that's a tough answer for me because I don't like to put stigmas to anything. I don't even see it that way. I don't my mentality or the way I process things, I don't judge like that. So for me, it's like whatever it's you. It's your presentation. So comments like that, just, it's a beautiful book. So, and that's the thing, when we put ourselves out there, we're putting ourselves out there to be, judged or anything. And it's just, it is what it is. It's a beautiful book that everybody should read. And you do concentrate on women. That's your business. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and so I want to read the reason why you're here, Denise, is because you left a beautiful review on my Facebook. And I was walking with my dog when I saw it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, you made me cry. So Denise says, Angelique, I just finished reading your book and I'm truly inspired by your authenticity and honesty. Your visibility is amazing and encouraging to me. I too have a passion for helping others, and I've also had many struggles to get to where I am at. But knowing that we are all humans beings and beautiful in our own way, and reading it when it comes from someone else is empowering. Thank you for writing this amazing book, Denise. So thank you for this. It really touched me when I read it, and I was literally outside walking the dog, and I'm like, wow. So it really hit me. It still does. So Denise, I always start our session. It's not a session, our live, with a read of the book. So I'm gonna ask you to give me a page or something randomly, and I'm just gonna read a little bit, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna let you speak about what was your experience of the book.
Okay, so go to page 18, where you talk about bartering your services for apples. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was awesome because, um, like, you've been doing this for a long time now, a lot longer than I have. I had started back in 2019 and then COVID hit. So I've only restarted this business in about, a little over a year now. So when you're starting the business, I get the same thing. It's like, oh, I have to give my services away just so that people can know me and get to see who I am and what I'm about. So that was really interesting for me that you bartered for apples.
Yeah, and the best apple in the world, by the way.
I bet you they were very expensive apples too.
So page 18. Okay, let's go.
Well, you talk
Um,
about the apples a couple places, but it was interesting when I first read that. So
you said it's page 18?
yeah, it says, "Oh no, what if they find out about my bartering services for apples?" It's about half of like,
Oh yeah, here we go. I got it. Yeah. Yeah, I fretted internally until a few months before getting in this group. I was exchanging. Oh, so that was when I entered that mastermind with the millionaire woman. Okay, yes, and then that was the season where I was exchanging my services. Yes. So, oh no, what if they find out about my bartering services for apples? I fretted internally. Until a few months before getting in this group, I was exchanging some of my advertising services for fresh apples. Money, both spending it and making it, was scaring the hell out of me. It was a moment of feeling incredibly small, yet recognizing the vast expanse of growth awaiting me. Over the next 12 months, I embraced this journey wholeheartedly. I started to raise my prices and I no longer accepted apples as payment. I structured the acronym now at the heart of my business, V.I.S.I.B.L.E, and started to build the foundation of my group program. Through Though I couldn't speak of how I'd borrowed the 25K from my parents to join, I was immensely grateful for the group's support. This experience transformed my business approach and the way I invested in my company as well. I was finally running my business the way I wanted to, and it was working. So yeah, I love that. So tell me more, Denise, about the different maybe part of the book that resonated like this with you and why, and yeah, I'm just curious, simply
well,
curious.
it resonated because I could relate. Like I said, you've been doing this now for 10 years, so I'm sure, if not more, and I'm sure you don't barter for apples anymore. But for somebody that's just starting, the fear, and you talk a lot about the fear. Women have a lot of fear. Now, men have fear as well, but how do you get beyond that? Because like I said, I've gone through it too. Like, oh, I feel like I should give a discount. I feel, and everybody tells me, no, you shouldn't discount your prices. But it's a hard um, a step to overcome, to put yourself out there.
Yes, and so tell me how did you overcome that as you were building your business?
I'm still trying to overcome that. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because like I
yeah,
said, I've only been doing it now for a year and a half. So I'm still trying to get over top of that and saying, okay, I'm really worth what I'm worth. I really have a lot to offer to people. I really do am valuable in my teaching, but it's still difficult because you feel like you're pressuring people. You feel like you're bugging people. So you think, well, if I give it for free, but sometimes you can't even give it for free.
yeah. And that's interesting you say that because I going back to the apples and everything else, after the apples, I remember my very first client, which was a man. My very first client is a man. He was a veteran. And what was the name of that platform? I had an ad on that platform. I think it still exists. It's not Marketplace. It's not on Facebook. What was the place where you
Kijiji? Kijiji?
know? Oh, we, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's where I had a like a little note saying that I was offering social media, I think consulting or something like that. And then we met at the second cup,
Okay.
and it was my very first paid gig, and it was $47. And I remember that the guy looked at me and he said, number one, you're undercharging, and number two, you should be a life coach. You just changed my life in 1 hour at second cup. I was at that time. I'm like, well, whatever. I am whatever you want to you. I know what I want to be. But reflecting, like, you just bring me back to that moment where the person said, you're undercharging, and it was my first time that I was able to put a price on my services. So but it's all about the stories, as you say, like, and that's the book is about this. Where are those stories coming from? And there is And everybody has a money story. That's the beauty of it. I thought I was the only one when I started to open up about this, but everybody has their own money story. And the thing is that most of the time it comes from way back then. And then you're 50, 60, or 40, whatever the age, there is a money story. Even sometimes
Right.
I talk to my son, I'm like, where is that money story coming from? You're too
But
young.
that was very interesting to me. And I was trying to reflect on it myself. Like, what is my money story? Like my first money story. And I'm still struggling with that. Like I just remember, working at a young age. My parents were in business and we had to earn our own money to, if we wanted, a pair of jeans or anything. Like, it wasn't bought. We had to work and save our own money for that. So, I think things have changed over the years. So, I'm still trying to reflect on that, but I appreciated that story because it's true, but it comes from fear. And you're right. It comes from generations back. We were raised certain ways. Like, you hear people say, well, money doesn't grow on trees. Those are all beliefs that we grow up with, thinking, well, I can't do certain things because my bank account doesn't allow it. I can't dream bigger, because of that mentality. But we have to overcome that. So I thought that was very interesting in your book.
Yeah, and also, paying attention to the fact that everything is always too expensive around. Like, if you meet anybody today and you're talking about something you buy, you're gonna hear it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And it's also, so that's my story that I'm reworking, is like learning how to love your money, learning to how to appreciate that you're paying a beautiful price for that amazing experience, that amazing product, that amazing service, or even if it's a treat for yourself, appreciating the value of it outside of the money. Like, there is always, like, it's always never the right price, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, when whether it's true or not, there is always like, that's too much, it's too much, or but there is no such thing than having a great deal, and that's coming from another place. When you have a deal that is like a good, that is not from that place of, it was too much, I crushed the price and now it's this. It's like, how can you make, and that, I think, when we do packages in our businesses, this is where, how can you make a good deal through a package, but no matter the price, whether it's a 5, 6, 7 figure package, how does it feel? And then when you start to kind of embrace the feeling of, no matter the price, it's a beautiful acquisition for you or your family or your business. And this is when you start to appreciate money from another angle. So that's something I've been dancing with a lot, where I don't allow my mind go, it's too much. Like, what an amazing opportunity for me to buy this, especially even if I have the money, no matter how I get the money, right? Money is money. Um, and having the experience of that thing because I have the opportunity to buy it, and appreciating this, everything, even finding a coin on the floor, appreciating this, it changed everything, rather than always seeing money like the problem.
Yeah, to me, there's two different ways of looking at it, because money brings a lot of good things, yes, but it can also be what people call evil. And I say that in the sense of, there are people that will run after money. That's their love of money, which is beyond the love of anything else, which is very scary. So if a person is running after money and that's all they're concentrating on, just for the power that it brings, that's a different thing. There was a saying that Bob Proctor had said to me a long time ago. He says, if you really want to know the value of a person, give that person money and see what they do with their money. And then if they do good with their money, they've always been a good person. But if they don't do good with their money, then, it shows their character, because money can mean a lot of things. So, but we tend to judge as well. So if we see, for example, a big house, somebody that has this beautiful big house, And I'm sure you've heard this before. Oh, well, that they inherited money, or they must be selling drugs, or they must be, they're just lucky, right? We judge, and we judge without knowing what those people have gone through to make it to where they're at,
Yeah,
right? And so it's, again, something that we were raised with, rather than appreciating the journey that people go through to get to where they're at. So
yeah,
money, and I've seen myself spend a lot of money on mentoring before, and it's worth every penny. It is. And it's an investment that we make in ourselves. And a lot of people are afraid of it because they're afraid of change. I talked about this the other day in my video myself. Like, we're afraid that we don't know what change is coming around the corner. So why would I run after that? Right?
yeah,
So,
totally, totally. So, Denise, before we move forward more in the book, I want you to introduce yourself in terms of who you serve, what you do, and how you do what you do. In a
well, my
nutshell.
background has really been in business for 20 plus years. Now I'm a high performance coach for people that have big dreams and want to make sure they're on the right track. I do business advisory. I'm a speaker. I'm also an author. So many, many things.
Yes, and do you know that I like when I knew you were coming this morning, I had a flashback. I met you.
I was wondering if you remembered that, because
Oh,
I
you remember?
remember, yes, it was at the New Brunswick Tourism Association,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
I was speaking, and you came and introduced yourself to me.
oh yes, I remember.
Cool. Cheers.
I love it. And I was like, oh, but that's the same Denise.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I thought about that. I thought, I wonder if she remembers
Yeah,
that.
I totally remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So what were you doing at the new, oh, were you, no, you were in this business then. Why were
Yeah,
you
I'm still a paid media strategist a few days a week for the tourism department
oh, okay.
where I
Oh,
run ads, or I'm part of the team that run ads.
okay.
So that's when I refer to how I kind of fell in love with social media. It all started with becoming, at the time, it was a social media specialist for the Department of Tourism, which was like way moons ago. And it's funny how life works, right? Because, and I don't remember, Denise, you're going to tell me if I share that story in the book. I don't remember because you wrote a book. You know what it is? They cut a lot of things. Like when you work with a publisher, like you give a lot, and then they do their magic so that it looks good. So I don't know if that story got the cut or not. I don't remember. But my very very first business is in the food industry.
Foot
Um,
industry?
the food.
Oh, food. No, I don't
Yeah,
think you
I'm
talk
a
about that
very
in the book.
It's not in the book. Okay, well, that's how it started. And so, because last year I wrote another book, a chapter in another book called Hungry for More, A Slice of My Life. So, this is a story of 25 years of food addiction through bulimia.
Well, yes, you did
So,
talk about the bulimia, and I was quite
okay.
impressed that you
So,
were,
yes.
open about that. That's great. Yeah.
And so out of that bulimia story came the fact that I had to rebuild my relationship with food. Plus, my body was allergic to everything on the planet. Coming from the farm, I couldn't eat gluten anymore, like no bread, no croissant. The French girl was like completely um, out of the French things in terms of food. No dairy and no sugar and no nuts, right? So I had to learn to not only rebuild my relationship with food, but also to cook. Like, what do you eat when you remove all of this, right? Outside of veggies and some meat, if you are a meat eater. So I started to develop a business around this, and I created bistros because I was missing the French bistros. So I had
Okay.
bistros at my house, and then I had a booth at the farmers market. I was teaching classes in grocery stores and everything. So and then in that season of life, I lost my job twice, and then the second time, I'm like, I'm not gonna let anybody else to cut the money, water, tap water whenever they want. So this is when I kind of got introduced to entrepreneurship, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to build my own revenue so that, next time they cut me again, I won't be like, oh my God, I had a little boy of 1 year old, I think at the time, that's stressful. So that's how I kind of fell into entrepreneurship. But, and then so with the food business, the name was Angélique Cuisine. And I applied for a loan at the CBDC. And then when I filled up the form, it was saying marketing plan. And at the time, I had no idea about marketing and strategies and anything. I'm like, oh my God, another thing to learn. It never stops when you're in business, right? You have to learn so much, which is awesome. And then on that same day, and a colleague of mine from another job said, Angelique, I just saw that job opening for you. It's social media specialist, and it's for you. You're meant for this. And I'm like, I have barely a Facebook account at the time, and I never used it. She said, yeah, I know that part, maybe not, but everything else, it's you. So at the time, I was a student of Brendan Burchard. I don't know if you know Brendan Burchard. Is like a
Oh,
baby of.
Brendan Bird. Yeah, Bouchard. Yeah, I do. Yes.
And we were that month. The topic was how to influence people ethically. So I went on my interview with my Brendan Burchard arsenal, and I convinced them that I was the social media expert to be hired, even though I didn't know anything about social media. But I had like everything was, I couldn't believe that, implementing everything from me, from like, it was so cool. So the thing that I didn't know is that when I started the job, I started to fall in love with it. And I became the expert at advertising and everything in the team at the time. The team has grown so much since then, but I loved it so much, Denise, that I didn't expect that. So I took the job, and I'm like, rather than going learning, marketing somewhere else, I'm going to do a job, be paid for it. And then so that's how I started my business, and falling in love with social media. And then my friends started to come to me and say, hey, Angelique, you're in social media, can you help me do this, do that? And I'm like, it started to become like, okay, well, that's a thing that I love to do, that's something that I can monetize. So I had 2 businesses. And then at some time, you have to pick and choose, and put your focus and attention on, what do you want to focus on. So now it's, it became social media love. But that's a story behind
That's
all of
so
it.
inspiring. And what I like about that is that you just went for it. And there's a saying that goes like, if somebody offers you an opportunity, even if you don't know how you're going to do it, just take it anyways and figure it out as you go. And that's really how life is, right? It's just figuring it out as we go. We always think we have to have everything figured out, but we don't. And then it turns into something beautiful. And look at you now, like this, amazing mentor for so many women. So it's very inspiring, your story, and that you share it with others. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, and you never know. And I know you talk a lot about this. Denise is a video rock star. She's on videos almost every day. And
I don't think I would say that. Let's
yeah,
talk about that, because you know what? You actually inspire me more than you know. And if you would have asked me, well, when I started my business, I remember telling my boyfriend, I don't know how I'm going to get my business, because all these people that are on social media talking and sharing their videos, that's just not me. I kept saying, it's just not me. Put me on a stage, I'm fine. But to go in a video, I was like, no, I'm not. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden, it took me probably, I don't know, 8 months or so to start slowly. And this week, I actually went live for the first time, and I thought, oh, screw it. I'm just doing it. Right. But you do inspire me when I watch you with your videos, but it's still intimidating for me. I still have that fear. But then I think to myself, well, if I'm teaching people to get out of their comfort zone, I have to do it myself. What kind of coach would I be if I don't get out of my comfort zone? So it's a challenge, and that's what people have to realize is we have to push ourselves every day. And but you're a beautiful example of that.
Well, thank you. And um, you're very good at being you on video. That's how I connected with you. Before even I did the math around where did I know you from, you know, because you know how to use your story where it matters. And when you bring that in your video, that's how you got me. I'm like, wow. And I told you, I think I sent you a DM. I told you like that was, you helped me too. I'm like, oh my God, like this is what I love about helping women. And it's probably the same with men. But as I say to everybody, it's not that I don't want to help men, but I don't know enough of what it is to be a man. I have enough of learning what it is to be a woman.
Well, that's okay. It's funny because I debated if I was going to just solely work with women as well, and women tend to be more open to growth, self growth, and things like that, more in tune with their feelings and emotions and things like that. So I think that's why women gravitate towards coaches like us. But it's funny because I worked in a man's world
Yes,
for many,
big
many years.
time.
Yes, even as a young person, because I started working for my parents at the age of 14, and my father was a mechanic. He had a garage. I was pumping fuel, so I've been around that environment for a long time, but that can also be, it brings its own challenges anyways. But let's go back to you. It's true. Storytelling, you talk about that actually on page 79. Storytelling is the key to
How
effective
did you know the
marketing.
pages? Do you have stickies?
Yeah, I fold them. It's my copy. I'm not giving it to anybody. So, and it's interesting because I was told that a long time ago, but it's not easy to share our stories.
No, I love it. And it is what makes us unique. So this is to find where is the what do you share is the question, right? Because and remember, like, I don't know when you were a little girl if you had story time before bed or not.
Yeah, yeah,
But those moment of stories where are still resonating with me, like the sensation of you're in your bed, you're about to fall asleep, and then you have those stories that really are emotional, and you're really in the story, and then you read the book and you don't even realize that you're reading a full book as a kid.
right,
and
right.
and I think in marketing, when you infuse this, people go back to that state of, oh my God, this is my story. I am in the story too, right? And I always say, where do you stay? So I get that question a lot with the women I work with. Where do you stop? And I always say this: don't bring your bleeding stories, because I think in order to be able to share stories, it has to be healed in a certain way so that you can see the wisdom out of it. Because every of our crappy stories are the ones that are more painful, you know, they when you're in it, you wonder, like, now we know, because you and I, we did a lot of personal growth. We know, like, what am I going to learn about me with this thing that sucks today? Right? But we know that those healed story are part of why we became who we became, and the wisdom in it. So and now we have the perspective and the distance to be able to see, oh, that was, I went through this too. And then you can share. I find if you share, the thing you don't want is that if you share your bleeding stories, and I'm not saying don't share anything, it's not what I mean, but especially as leaders of communities and coaches and consultants, we're not here to receive my poor like, it's not about that. If I share my stories to help you and share that, it's, I don't know, there is that complicity, that thing that you're like, okay, if she's done it, I can do this. And then it can change the trajectory of my day by hearing your story. And it builds trust as well, because you're not just a random coach or random consultant that just recite her thing that she knows. She is the proof of it.
Yeah, well, we're all human, right? And it's true that everybody has a story. The
Yeah.
difference between you and I and everybody else is that we choose to help others through our stories. But it doesn't mean that because we're sharing our stories that we're not scared, that we don't fear it, that we don't, and that's what I find funny is that because we're in front of people doesn't mean we have everything figured out. However, when you're saying don't share your bleeding stories, I find that it has helped me heal from my past. And the more I speak about certain things, the more they become easier to talk about.
Yes.
6 months ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to speak about certain things. And now it's a lot more comfortable. I spoke 2 weeks ago in Edmundston, and there was a certain section that I had planned on talking about my past. And I touched it a little bit, but for some reason, while I was on stage, I stopped myself to go any further because obviously it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to look at it, because sometimes when we speak in public, we judge ourselves afterwards. Oh, I forgot this, I forgot that, I should have said this, I should have said that. We judge ourselves quite a bit after we've done a speech. And and I thought, okay, well, it wasn't meant to be. But since then, and this is only 2 weeks, like this is how fast we can grow by sharing and doing things. Now it's become easier. Now I realize, okay, I was scared at that moment, but I don't need to be scared. And even if people judge me, oh, well, it's my story and everybody has a story. It's just unfortunate. This is what I find. It's unfortunate that we feel, people might know us from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and they would have known a version of us back in the day. And that carries through with them for the rest of their life. And if they hear your name, they'll say, oh, well, I remember her from 30 years ago and she was like this or she was like that. But that's who I was. That's not who I am now. Just like you're not who you were 30 years ago, 20 years ago, right? We have
Yeah.
to accept that. Like life, we change, we grow. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. We change. Yes, totally. But I think there is a part of us that is at the core, and that's why we change. I think it's we change externally, but I think what we do as well is to reconnect with the real us as well as we change in the eyes of others or even in our own eyes. There are things that we never said before that I now say, right? But I think it's because we reconnect with that voice inside of us that is been here forever, and we covered it up, covered it up, covered it up, covered it up, and then we're lucky enough to be able to do all those experience to, I always say, to heal, to grow, to expand, and reconnect with our deepest desire. And I think that's the best gift that you can do to yourself, is to reconnect with your desires, the one that are deep inside of you that maybe you ignore for so many times, or you never maybe heard them because you were like, life is life. And knowing that it's possible to reconnect with this, which is the real you. And then, of course, this is where the change happens, because there is nothing that happens in the same situation that we are. Like, whatever we want is always outside of where we are, right? That's why we fear stuff, and we need to grow out of our comfort zone, as everybody says. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like how you talk about, the fear, because I talk a lot about that too, because fear controls our lives. We operate out of a place of fear most of the time. And
mhm,
there's really nothing positive that comes out of that. But you talk about how women, we feel suffocated a lot. We feel like, I'm even going to say it. Sometimes we feel like we're in a prison. I've felt like I've been in a personal prison, a business prison, all that stuff. So it's very interesting. You talk about that in page 33.
I love it. You got me. Like, I love it. I usually be named Mr. Allen. Oh, when
Uh,
I'm the
yeah, you
story.
talk about they often feel suffocated, fearing that even a small shift to let some air in might cause their entire world to collapse. And that's the thing, eh? We fear that if we change, what's going to happen to our life, what's going to happen to our lifestyle, what's going to happen. I've been there. I'm sure you have too, because you're writing about it, right?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
when people start feeling resentful towards the world.
Yeah. And I think that's great you bring the focus on this, because I think when you start to feel that you want to change, it doesn't have to be complicated. That's for me. When I studied that journey, I thought it would, like I said here, like collapse everything. But it can take just a tiny tweak to start the journey, and it doesn't have to be that major drama thing that everything's gonna fall, you're gonna leave everything, leave everyone, nobody's gonna hate, like. But we have that big thing that we want, the big mountain, but I really believe that you can start like with one thing, and then by magic, but it's not magic, everything else gonna happen. Sometimes it doesn't feel good, don't get me wrong, but the right things happen for sure, in an order that maybe you don't expect. But you have to trust that, the universe has your back, because that's the only way. Because if you want to control every outcome, this is where you burn out, and this is where you don't listen to your body, this is where you crash, and yeah.
Yeah. I love what you just said about having the universe having our back. I go to bed every night thanking the universe for having my back. I swear to God, I do that all the time in my head. And I just know that the universe is guiding me in the right direction, bringing the right people into my life. I say that in my mind every night when I go to bed.
I love it. Yeah, because it does. And when you hear everything happens for your highest good, at first that sentence first irritated me.
Irritated you,
And second, it is so true. And when we say it happens for your highest good, it doesn't mean that it feels good. But there are some moments that don't feel good, that are kind of totally save the day or save your life, because it's learning to be uncomfortable that brings the change. And this is why you have to learn to dance with your fears, because fears is a mechanism that is biological. Every time you want to change, the other day I had a beautiful example again with one of my clients. She had a ball moment, right? And so all of you watching the replay, and I'm sure Denise, you're gonna know what I mean. You have a beautiful idea, it lands, it feels right. Oh, this is it. Count until 3. 1, 2, 3. And the mind comes and say, well, I don't think you can do that, but how are you gonna do that? And all the things
Are
start.
you
So
crazy?
the
Who do you
fear
think you are?
gets on, which is normal. So once you learn that fear is your protect, it wants to protect you, and it's completely normal. And I think that's why so many people stop, because as soon as you have the best idea, the best thing,
Mm-hmm.
it automatically comes 1, 2, 3, or sometimes it goes up to 7. I counted for myself. Like, when is it coming? you know and you're gonna find all the excuses for not even taking the first step.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
they say that women don't take as many risks as men.
yeah.
And that is very true, especially in business. We are not considered to be the risk takers, but the women are now more and more business owners. And you see a lot of banks and a lot of people trying to get into uh, that industry, like the women own businesses. But we need to push ourselves to take risks, right? We are operating on a small level, let's say. We're not thinking of taking big steps. We're
Yeah, and I
scared.
think yeah, and I think this is the game changer. When you For me, that was, the day I discovered what fear is about, and like from a human aspect, from a mind and body aspect, how it works at the biological level. Then it's not a monster or a thing that comes after you anymore. It's part of how we function, and you can use it. So now, there is a difference between danger and fear. So you're not gonna die from doing your first Facebook live. Did
No,
you? Like, you did your first live, you
I'm
said,
still alive.
right? But so it's like, yeah. one of the examples I always give is like, if when you feel dangerous, that death can come out of it. So that's a fear that is purposeful. Like if you see a tail or a fin in the water and you're in Florida, you're not gonna go in the water because it might be a shark, right? So fear is telling you don't go there. But whatever other fear that you cannot die from, um, that means you have to go for it. So
Mhm. Well,
now
we hear. Oh, go ahead.
for me, fear is my green light. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I feel that inside of me. Oh no, I'm gonna have to do it. This is the sign. This is how the book came. This is how everything is coming up. As soon as I feel fear, it means you're getting out of the comfort zone. It means this is where you want to go.
Yep. Fear is based on our past. It's based on our knowledge of what has happened before, but we
Mhm.
sometimes fear things that we shouldn't even be fearing. Like I had a conversation this week with my boyfriend and we were talking about something that might come, and I said, now you're limiting yourself because you're already assuming something might come from that you may not be able to handle. You don't even know if that's going to happen, right? So you're already limiting yourself to a potential that could be just beautiful. So by facing our fear and saying, okay, well, I'm just going to do it, you are opening opportunities, you're experiencing new things, and you bring yourself to the next level. And then you hit another wall of terror that I call it the terror barrier. And
Yeah.
then because you've learned, now you're growing, you're learning new things. And oh, the next step, another fear comes. And
Yes.
you go, well, shoot, now I know that if I face my fear, I'm going to open new doors. I'm going to learn new things. And that's how we should look at it, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a key of growth, and I didn't know that. And we need to explain that more and more and more to more people. It is not a stopper; it's actually the contrary.
Hmm.
And yes, it's scary, but
Yeah,
there
it
is
is. And
way.
that's why I keep saying, like, I when I do my videos, for example, I always fear, okay, I fear it, that people will judge me thinking that I'm doing it because I want to look better than everybody else or that I've got everything figured out. And I hope that it doesn't come that way because that's not what I'm trying to put across. And I hope people, and I'm sure you go through that too, is we are human beings like everybody else. And while we're doing what we're doing, we are fearing it.
Yeah, but I think the fear and your system's going like as you do that, your system's not gonna fear it anymore until the next level of your videos.
That, yep.
Uh, Um, I think we are human beings with um I think we are, how can I say this, we are here as an energy ball. We are energy first, and we have a body and a mind that makes us human, as you said. But I think when you start to let your soul, whatever you call that part of you that is intangible, lead the way, and you really connect to your mission and what you're doing, Denise, in your business is like your mission is very clear and the passion you have to help people, then what other things of you has none of your business. Because as you know, everybody's on its own journey, and any judgment that you have towards someone is actually a mirror to yourself. So I think more and more, and you see, I think you're on the track for this. You less and less you will think about what they're gonna think, because you already know the impact you have on the ones that are ready to hear you. The ones that are this morning watching, you never know who's watching, but there is always someone watching, and you don't know how this is going to impact their trajectory. Sometimes we have no idea until a few years later, or maybe they're going to reach out right after the video right now. And I think from that moment, our fear of being judged, which is all of us have that, is it, we cannot let that run the show,
No.
because we can help so many people just because we're brave enough. Because it's to have a business for me is now a badge of bravery. When you open a business, it is an act of bravery, that is led from that desire of helping. I think it's really helping, serving. Like when you see that just by talking, especially us from the service industry where we have nothing to show. I cannot even sell that cup. I don't sell cups, right? I sell something that is completely intangible. So we need to use who we are, our stories, our marketing, our voice, our body, to invite people to work with us because we know we can have an impact and change their life. And that is bravery to me, and magical and beautiful. And we can
It is.
all do that.
Yeah. And I don't remember what page you talk about this, but
Come
somebody
on, Denise.
I know.
You
Well, I have some, but now I'm just like, oh my gosh, what was that?
you
You
blew my
talk
mind
about
with the pages.
you talk about somebody approaching you and telling you how much you had impressed them or made a difference in their life.
Oh, the
Uh,
mom at the grocery store.
yes, yes.
Yes,
I thought that
yes,
was
yes. And yeah, so yeah, that's the avocado story, which is actually
oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
yes, yeah. It's so when the TEDx is coming out, um that story is gonna get like really for me when I how you when you write a book, because you wrote a book, like you have to go deep and remember what is the one thing I could share that kind of makes the story tangible and everything. And that the avocado story came up, and now it's in the TEDx, and it has it that story is having an impact that I'm like, wow, I wish I could find the woman that I met in the grocery store, because it's in the book, it's in the TEDx, and now I share it everywhere because you never know who's watching. And that woman stopped me in the grocery store, and she saw my very first Facebook Live about 8 fun ways to eat avocados. And she said, you don't know me, but I watched your video about avocados, and my son, who's such a picky eater, now loves them. And literally, I didn't know what to say. I was like, that was the first time that I had the experience of, oh my God, when you open your mouth, it has an
an
impact.
impact. Yeah. But it's funny, maybe she'll read your book
Maybe.
and maybe she'll come and find you again. And but it's amazing. Isn't that a good feeling? Because it happened to me a couple weeks ago at my last conference. Someone came to me at the end and said that her best friend had heard me speak in 2019. And I was the one supposedly who motivated her to go in business for herself, and she opened a restaurant. So this was not the girl itself, it was her friend that attended my conference, and she came over and told me this on behalf of her best friend.
I
And I
love.
thought, really? Like I had no idea, right? So it is amazing. It is amazing. It's a
Yeah.
great feeling when we know we're making a difference. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
we're
that
making
in
it.
itself, yes, that in itself is, we cannot stop. We don't have to use social media to promote our services, but if you choose to use social media, it you like we it's a responsibility, because I always say we are raising a family. We're bringing new kids in the home, and then if you stop in the middle because of your fear, that's not fair for the people who are came, because as you know, there are many people on social media, right? You pick and choose who you want to hang out with. But if you start, you cannot stop, because there are people that we don't know are drinking our Kool-Aid every day to make their next decisions. I know we're not responsible for their decision, but I mean, if you start building a family online, like take it very seriously, be fun, don't get me wrong, but you're a leader, whether you want or not, whether there is a ton of people watching or not, there is always someone watching. Always. I know that for sure.
That's why we have to realize that our stories are not meant to hurt us. They're meant to help others. So we shouldn't be embarrassed about how far we've come or what we've lived in our life to get to where we're at. We should be appreciative of that. We should appreciate the journey that we've been on to get to where we're at. Most people don't realize the journey they've been on to get to where they're at without dying, without going to jail, for taking a risk. Like we have all gone through quite a journey to make it to where we're at. And it's time for people to start reflecting more on that, to start appreciating the journey.
Yeah, I love this. I think that this is the best way to wrap up our discussion. I think we could talk all day and all
I
night,
know.
Denise.
Yeah, I agree. It comes pretty natural.
But what you said here brings me tears because it is true what you just said, Denise. Like whoever is watching, your story matters, and so many of you are completely ignoring this. And so many of the people I work with, when they come to me first and we start the storytelling aspect of the work, they're like, I don't have anything earth shattering to share. Like it's not about being earth shattering, it's being that brave human beings going through a situation, navigating it, going through it, out of it. And now what did you learn? What is the wisdom you get out of this that you can share with me so that I don't get to go through this myself, right? I think it's almost a responsibility
It
once
is.
you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a big responsibility, and it's something that it has to be a calling. I feel like it's a calling.
Yeah.
It's a desire and a passion that I've had for a long time, and I really think it's a calling because I've had a passion for speaking and helping others for probably 20 some years. And what you said about we don't have anything earth shattering to talk about. Well, when you have a passion and you talk about the universe having our back, the universe provides the stories. And let me tell you, because of my passion, the universe has provided a lot of stories for me to share because it gave me a lot of experiences that now I can use to help others. So you're right. It's a responsibility and it's a passion. Everybody should try to find their passion. It doesn't have to all be the same thing. So uh,
Yeah.
kudos to you, Angelique, for writing such a great book. Sorry. Are you? I love the name, by the way. I really do, and I love the fact that you had this vision while you were in your floating thing.
Yeah, for the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
it's funny how things come to us, right? Ideas
I
come to us
know.
out of the blue.
Yes. And Denise, you have a big event tomorrow in Shediac. You want to say what it is? There is it still open for if someone wants to come last minute?
Thank you so much for mentioning that. Yes, it is still open for registration. It's at the Hotel Shediac. It's called Surviving or Thriving. It's your choice, your future. So the thing is that it's to help everybody get out of their comfort zone. Surviving, we have many things in our lives where we feel like we're not thriving. We're just going day by day. We're stuck in a rut. As you say about women, we feel like we're in a bubble, or we're feeling like we're, I don't know. It's for everybody, but it's we don't have to go through life that way. Even if we experience bad things in our lives or tough times, there's a way to look at it and thrive and use it to experience life in a beautiful way. So that's pretty much the seminar tomorrow, is to help everybody get out of their comfort zone and try to find that passion and desire they have so that they can bring some pizzazz into their life again, right?
Yes. And so if you're around and you want to you reach out to Denise, you send a DM because I think you're on LinkedIn, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, and I'll be tagging you. So it's easy to go to your DM and then reach out to Denise because I think it's going to be life changing for sure for the people in the room.
Well, you know what? Maybe someday we should do a seminar together.
Oh my God. Be ready for this. The two of us in the room.
Why not? Why not?
It'll be
That's the
fire.
whole thing. And that's the whole thing about connections, and it's how we grow even more. We learn from each other. It's not competition; it's learning from each other. And yeah, I think that would
And
be
have
fun.
fun as well as part of growing
Yeah,
a business, having fun because it can be easy to be like, oh, and get the numbers, like always reconnect to why you did that business at first, right? That beautiful reason, the mission behind it, the fire. So thank you beaucoup, thank you for taking time today and
thank
your
you for having me.
morning. Well, and then we'll see each other very soon, online and offline. I am sure about this. For those of you who don't have the book yet, I just want to tell everybody I have to start to say it. The book is still like $5 and 0.90 cents, I think, digital version. It's gonna go up in 1 week and a half, right? So it's been a month like this, so make sure you grab it. And it's okay if you grab it when it's more expensive, because we don't mind about money, right? We say we love money. We love money.
We love money. Money loves us.
Yes, exactly. So thank you, beaucoup, 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 beaucoup. And to all of you, if you have questions for Denise, I'm telling you, we just barely touched the surface of everything. But Denise, is your story is I don't even know all the story, but I know enough to know the potency of your experience and how you change lives through your leadership coaching. Is that leadership coaching you call yourself,
Leadership
mentor?
coaching, life coaching, reaching for your big goals, everything.
Yes, yes, everything, the full deal.
Everything.
Have a
Life
good
in general, living.
living, being, yeah, happy.
Yes, being happy. Yeah.
Yeah,
And being
yeah,
visible.
being visible, yeah, to yourself first,
Yeah.
and then the magic happens. Yes.
Mm, very true. Well,
So,
I'm still working on that. So thank you for helping me with that because you are an inspiration.
oh, thank you. So you can stay with me backstage if you have a minute. I'm just gonna close the store here. Bye, guys. Thank you for being here watching. And if you're one of those watchers saying nothing, it's okay, because we know you're here. And if you feel open today that you want to say something, you can even reach out to me by DM, because the more you express yourself, I promise you, this is how things start to change. Okay, ciao, ciao.